it's not the first thing that somebody doubts us, right? When at the day one of full-scale invasion, when we were looking out for who can help us, who can support us, we have received no from so many people. And we started from receiving no about everything, about long-range weapons, about fighter jets, about tanks, about missiles, about Patriot systems, everything. We had only heard no. And I want to remind you that at the day one, nobody believed that Kyiv would survive for more than a couple of days. That was actually the meaning why we were receiving weapons, because the world did not believe in us. But you know what's the most important? We believed in ourselves. And I still truly believe in Ukrainian people and our survivors' capacities.
You've been critical of Volodymyr Zelensky in the past. You have different politics. What did you think, though, when you saw him receive that dressing down in the Oval Office?
Oh, so, before the full-scale invasion, really, I was very vocal as an opposition. But at that moment, Casey, in the day one in Verkhovna Rada, we also made a vow: for as long as it takes, no matter how hard it would be, we will stay united until we end the war. Because all the political ambitions should go aside when there is something bigger and better, which is the survival and freedom of your country. So right now, I'm working not as an oppositional party leader. I'm working as a representative of our people and the representative of Ukraine. And so when President Zelensky was having a spat with President Trump in the Oval Office, on a personal level, I was just hoping that he knew that we are all standing behind him and that he was not alone there. And I hope that he was getting a courage from it, that he was representing a nation that is fighting, and he had no shame in standing up for the nation that is fighting, who was looking at him as how would he represent all of us.
Well, now, we're at a critical juncture in the war. There's talk of this peace plan, maybe peace talks hosted by Turkey, perhaps. Is it possible to think that there may be a different leader who has to take you from war into peace? Does Donald Trump have a point that maybe at some point Zelensky needs to give way to someone else?
So there are different aspects of it, but the short answer is no. There is a legal aspect, which our constitution forbids election during the wartime, and which is absolutely fair and just and honestly very logical. There is also a second aspect, which is right now we see how Russia influences elections in different countries, European countries. Well, they were known to influence elections in the United States. So for us, it will be, again, a huge threat to have additional elections, again, during the martial law.
Right. So despite your political differences with Zelensky, you back him to stay as president for as long as it takes?
Until we win the war.
Well, on that note, do you see peace anytime soon? Do you see peace this year, next year?
I do not see peace through the diplomacy, unfortunately. I wish it was, but we haven't seen any single sign, any single hint that it is achievable.
But you know that people doubt whether Ukraine can win the war now.
It's not the first thing that somebody doubts us, right? When at the day one of full-scale invasion, when we were looking out for who can help us, who can support us, we have received no from so many people. And we started from receiving no about everything, about long-range weapons, about fighter jets, about tanks, about missiles, about Patriot systems, everything. We had only heard no. And I want to remind you that at the day one, nobody believed that Kyiv would survive for more than a couple of days. That was actually the meaning why we were receiving weapons, because the world did not believe in us. But you know what's the most important? We believed in ourselves. And I still truly believe in Ukrainian people and our survivors' capacities. So I know that the world is skeptical about Ukraine winning the war. But I also know that we haven't found any single fact that would support the idea that Russia can keep their part of the bargain. And we have been in this war since 2014. We know it. We prove it by the facts. And these facts are people that we knew who were killed at this war.
And are you more optimistic after the NATO summit that Trump seems to be slightly more critical of Russia, slightly more supportive of Ukraine, despite the fact that the summit as a whole really put the threat of Russia, it played down the threat of Russia, didn't it?
I think everybody was talking a lot about what would happen if Ukraine wins, and we have not been talking enough what would happen if we lose. And this is an important direction to take with all of our partners and allies who who have these illusions about that you can make peace with Russia. There has not been a single significant fact of supporting President Trump's illusion that Russia wants peace. And they have not supported any of his attempts, right? So what are the options that we have? We have the option to fight, and we continue doing that. If we don't have enough weapons, we will fail. And then what would happen? And I think answering this question can bring more of our partners on board with increasing the support of Ukraine so we can fight back better. Casey, recently Russia has increased the attacks, really increased the attacks on our cities with attacks of like 300 drones and missiles. And so my question is, okay, well, we learned how to fight against it. Does anybody else know how to do it? And what would happen if Russia attacks NATO country? And I think right now it's not unbelievable at all.
But do you think Donald Trump is any clearer about the threat from Russia, or is he, as some of his opponents say, actually a Russian asset himself?
Well, I think it took up to 3 years for some of our partners in Europe to realize what we realize about Russia. And I think Donald Trump is still on this path. He is on the path of learning things that we have learned the hard way. We just hope that after, again, the reality hitting him back as it was, Putin not showing up to Istanbul for negotiation, Putin not agreeing to any kind of ceasefire, Putin not supporting any of President Trump's initiative. At some point, we hope that he will get annoyed, really annoyed, as the way that that someone who makes fool of you or fun of you to the whole world will make you. And if you wanted peace through strength, at some point, maybe you will realize that the only way to get it is to go ahead as you have promised it at the beginning of the elections and like really execute on those promises.